Thanks everybody for joining us for our second event of today. Once again, my name is Chelsea McGuire. I'm the Director of Government Relations here at the Arizona Farm Bureau, and super excited to introduce you to our guests for the last of our 2020 Webinar Wednesdays. But don't worry, we'll talk after their presentation about how you can continue participating in this series in the year ahead. So this isn't the last opportunity you have for Webinar Wednesday, but it is the last one of 2020. As always, thanks for joining us. You are in participant-only mode, but that doesn't mean you can't interact with us. There is a Q&A box open and ready for the presentation. So if you have anything that you'd like to say or ask our presenters, just throw your questions and comments in that box, and we'll be monitoring them as the program goes forward. The other thing to know is that if you've missed any of our Webinar Wednesday series that we've had for the last 6 weeks or so, you can catch up with all of the recordings that are on our website at www.azfb.org. Just click on News and Resources, and then click on the Webinars tab that'll show up on the left-hand side of your screen. So today we are very excited to hear from our partners at Farm Bureau Financial Services. Anybody who's been around Farm Bureau knows that the insurance arm and the insurance family of what we do is just crucial to our mission here. And they are incredibly talented and skilled at making sure that we have the risk protection and the protection that we need for our livelihoods going into the future. And so we're excited to hear from them today. We will be hearing from two folks at Farm Bureau Financial Services. We'll be hearing from Bruce Kane, who is the Business Center Director here at the Higley office. And then first, we're going to hear from Jill Wilson. Jill is an agent in our state, just really fantastic and very well versed in some of our, especially ranching specific risk management programs. And she's going to talk to us about what's new, the tools that Financial Farm Bureau has to offer, and what you should know about your coverage. So Jill, I think we're ready for you. Take yourself off mute and take it away.
Well, good morning. Thank you for inviting me on today. I do appreciate it. I'm hoping my internet works okay, because being in Globe, sometimes it's a little finicky. So I apologize if there's any delay, but I just wanted to really kind of give an overview of what some of the risk management tools available in the crop side of things. Farm Bureau has a really strong PC line, but we also have a crop side, and I kind of got some of the state numbers available. That's not just Farm Bureau related, but all crop policies in the state of Arizona. So a few things to kind of talk about is Farm Bureau has a handful of crop certified agents, and what we can do is we can ensure the crop side of things, which protects the commodity in a loss, whether that is cotton or any other commodity, livestock or dairy, and as well as there's a protection of revenue side. So there's probably a program available for you that you may just not be aware of. Some of the few things are some new hemp programs that are available that have just been released to Arizona. So that's really kind of exciting. I did put in some of the slides. There's a file. I don't know if I go for it or if you do, Chelsea, to pull up. I'm going to go to files here. I don't know if you can see it or if I'm sharing it, but this is kind of a neat just map really of some of the current indemnities that have been paid out to.
Jill, if you want to, there should be a button on your screen that looks like a square with an arrow in it, and if you press that, it'll give you the option to share the screen that you're seeing.
Perfect. Let's see. Did it work? Did it not work? Let's see. Let's try it again. Does it show?
Not quite yet. You can also email it to me and I can throw it up to you.
It's on, I put it in the files under that Farm Bureau Federation meeting under the teams. So
okay, let me pull it up. You can go ahead and keep talking and then I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so really this map is primarily designed to show you how much indemnity dollars have been paid out through the whole United States, but I like to look at Arizona specific and see how USDA has benefited producers in Arizona, and it looks pretty significant. So that's really one of the things I kind of wanted to show was that that there was a possibility that there's some programs that we may not be aware of, and that there's some significant indemnities happening and being payable to farmers and ranchers in the state of Arizona. So it's a pretty neat little map that I showed. There's a few other things, but I'm just going to kind of tell you instead of me trying to figure it out because it's not working very well for me. But one of the things is there is crop policies, which are for apples and barley and chilies and all of that. There's also pilot programs, which are for PRF and pistachios. Those are some really interesting ones. And then there's dollar protection ones, which talks about like in the event of a market loss, there's some revenue protection for your commodity based on the potential market, what it is now versus what it's going to be. So there's some really interesting information, lots of availabilities. Yours might be a little different, your operation, but there's great programs available. So it was just kind of giving you kind of a review, whether it's a commodity or whether it's revenue protection. I specialize I have over 2 million acres insured in Arizona. All of them are small little ranchers. They're not big, huge operations. And I'm proud to say as of today, from the last 4 years, I've hand delivered over $13 million in indemnity checks to ranchers in the state of Arizona. So for me, that's very powerful because a lot of farmers and ranchers are struggling, and ranchers specifically, they haven't had a lot of crop policies in the past, and now that there is an option for them, it's been very beneficial. So it's one of the things that I really like to kind of talk about because I think it's a good program. I'm very, very well versed in it. I do a lot of training and education on it. Mainly my goal is to educate ranchers of what options are available, even if it's not just PRF. There's other ones called whole farm revenue, which and that's for anybody in any kind of commodity. So it could be a farm, a ranch, it could be a nursery, it could be for if you have farmers markets, those kind of things. So there's a lot of things that I think people may not be aware of, and there's some crop programs out there that might help them. It's at least worth taking, having the conversation at least. So that was kind of it. Unless there's any questions or.
Yeah, so there's no questions in the chat right now, but I do have your files up. So if you want me to show those individually, you can talk through the pictures a little bit more since the audience can see them.
Sure, that would be great. I couldn't figure it out, but.
That's okay. This is okay. So I'm going to pull up the map that you were talking about first.
Yep. So this map's pretty interesting, I think. It shows indemnity dollars, which is monies paid to producers through the whole United States. So you can see Arizona, there isn't a county in Arizona that isn't participating in some form of crop insurance, whether it's strictly a commodity like pecans or apples or wheat or pistachios, or it's a whole farm revenue, or it's PRF. So it shows total indemnity dollars, and I think it's pretty neat. It does surprise me nationwide that there are some counties that aren't active in any of the crop policies. So it was just kind of a neat idea to see how some of those are being utilized. So that's one of them. The other two, if you wanted to take a look, you're welcome to.
Sure. So I'll pull up the 29 stats for crops, that one.
Yeah. So this one is pretty interesting. I pulled it today off of the RMA website, and RMA is a division of the USDA that they are the risk management. So they are the ones that govern all crop policies, whether that crop policy is written through Farm Bureau or through another insurance company. RMA is the governing board for all of that. So this came directly off of the USDA site, and this is for 2019, for the full 2019 crop year. So I just thought it was interesting seeing how many insurable acres there are versus total acres. And this isn't just Farm Bureau, this is Arizona as a whole. And then the percent of insured based on that commodity. So that was pretty interesting to me, you know, that there's some that are taking advantage of some of the crop policies, and then there are some that aren't at all. So that was, I thought, you know, for some people it might be interesting. To me, it sure was. So, you know, like grain, for example, we're only at a 90% insured for the entire availability of grain in the state of Arizona. So there's a significant shortfall there for any of those grain producers who are not taking advantage of some of the crop policies available to them. Same as, you know, some forage stuff. We're only at a 31% coverage out of what's all available. So there are some shortfalls that people might, producers might be just missing some opportunities. A lot of these have pretty significant subsidy factors with them as well. So their portion of their premium is pretty manageable. But this is an interesting thing to see, you know, maybe what your competitors, if you're in, I don't know, the potato business and you're not producing, well, you can see that 74% of, you know, maybe some of your competitors are. So it was just kind of an interesting little slide. But if you want to show the next one, I'll go over that one just a little bit. And this one, so there's one called, there's a couple that are called pilot programs, which means they are not officially programs yet, but they're still utilized, which is, you know, PRF, which is one of those, which is probably the most well-known, but obviously there's, and then it tells you the county specific that they're involved in. The dollar premium, the dollar liability program one. So I find it interesting that so the livestock gross margin, that one's doing pretty decent for dairy. However, that's what they, some of the other ones are not being utilized at all. And I'm trying to really educate myself in some of those. The livestock risk protection, we call it LRP, and it can be for cattle or lamb or swine. There's no utilization at all in the entire state of Arizona, regardless of what insurance company. Nobody is utilizing that as a program at all. So I'm wondering, what I've been trying to educate myself on is wondering, is it not beneficial? Or is there just not enough education, or there's some pitfalls in it that we aren't really aware of? So I've been doing a lot of studying and reaching out to other states that utilize these programs to see how we can get some of our cattle producers and lamb and swine producers to maybe participate in something that helps them. Maybe they just haven't been made aware of it, or we had some glitches in the way. So I think moving forward, especially for 2021, there are significant opportunities available. I think it's just educating the producers of what's available to them.
Gotcha.
And then there's down to the PRF program and whole farm revenue. PRF is probably the most predominant one so far for Arizona as far as acreage policies and indemnities. It's a really, really great program. That's kind of my baby. But there's a really other good one called whole farm revenue, which if you have a loss of revenue over the course, you know, they take your last 5 years of your average tax return based on that commodity. And if, for example, in 2021, as a rancher, we're concerned about what our revenue is going to be, maybe we're going to get a $100,000 loss, this program covers that loss in revenue. So it is a lot of legwork on the agent's part, but that's my job. It's to make sure that I have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. But it looks to be a really good one. And there's a few farmers that take advantage of it, not so much in the ranching industry yet, but there's some availability. So these were just a couple of slides that I wanted to show that maybe would give a little bit overview of what some of the crop policies are being utilized for. Their risk management tools that you can layer as part of your PC and some of your other programs available through Farm Bureau. So
Gotcha.
that was it, really.
Well, Jill, we really appreciate that, and we'll give our audience a few minutes while Bruce is talking to add some questions in the chat box. So if you don't mind sticking around with us for just a little while, we can maybe answer and ask some questions after that. But in the meantime, I'd like to introduce one more time Bruce Kane, our Business Center Director here at the Higley office, and he's going to give us just a quick update on what Farm Bureau Financial Services was up to this year, some of the success that they had. I know our Farm Bureau members are used to seeing our Farm Bureau Financial Services friends at our annual meetings and at our state annual meeting, and so we didn't necessarily have all that opportunity this year. And so we're going to give Bruce some time now and have him give us a quick update. So Bruce, you can unmute yourself and we'll hear from you.
Thank you, Chelsea, and thank you all for the opportunity to just spend a few minutes talking about Farm Bureau Financial Services. 2020, what a year to be behind us, right? The year started off normal. Then about March, we were doing a couple of barbecues at a sale. And then it seems like, everything just kind of broke loose with COVID-19. And basically that's been our year, trying to adapt, adjust, survive, provide that customer service that people have become accustomed to. And we've done a lot in that area. You all probably know this, but Farm Bureau was not unlike a lot of insurance companies when they realized that there wasn't as much driving going on. There was a refund of auto premiums given out over a period of from like March 14th to May 31st, and it was a big deal because people were locked down at home and they weren't able to drive their vehicles. Plus, we saw a number of policy changes and things like that helped them with premium from an auto perspective. I'm over the claims and underwriting department here in Arizona, but I can tell you on the property side, we didn't really see a lot of change. We saw more home fires and people being at home, I guess, cooking on stoves, and it was kind of not funny, but it was kind of different to see all that take place, but had a big increase in fire losses this year. So it's been an interesting year dealing with COVID-19. Our policies and procedures were many that we put in place to provide additional service on both our commercial and our farm lines and members' choice lines to try to give people some relief, whether it was people unable to pay their bills up front, where we worked out billing plans, or to continuing to handle with our claims in person and do what needed to be done to continue to provide that service. Our goal ultimately is to make things as simple as possible for our members. It is our focus. It is a major focus that we have because insurance products are not simple. And if anybody tries to tell you they are, they're just incorrect, because as Jill just pointed out in talking about all of the revenue products that we have to offer in that market, it's not simple, and it takes expertise to do a good job for our client members. We are the only insurance group with a dedicated agency to help grow membership for the Farm Bureau and provide that coverage that our Farm Bureau partners sincerely need. Our number one focus as it comes to growth in our company is actually to grow in agriculture. To do this, we have two primary products that we use for property and casualty coverage, which is basically home, auto, and general liability, and that is the AgMax policy, which is a commercial ag policy, and Farm Bureau Members' Choice policy. Just over the last couple of years, there are a number of product enhancements that we've developed and implemented. One of them being replacement cost coverage on irrigation systems like pivots. Imagine having a pivot out there that's 10 to 20 years old, and now you can get replacement cost coverage on it, which is awesome. Drivology. Are you getting what you earned for being an awesome driver? Drivology can take care of that for you on any type private passenger vehicle. Workers' compensation. This has been a big addition to our book over the last 3 years. The rates are good. The coverage is awesome. We have a dedicated claims department that deals with this, and we've been doing work comp from a company's perspective for decades, but we just introduced it into Arizona over the last few years. Umbrella coverage. If you look at the advertisements on television, especially the attorneys that advertise, there's a need for liability coverage, and it's not important until something bad happens. So having that conversation up front and realizing what your risks are and what the potential is, we are here to protect livelihoods and futures, and umbrella coverage can help do that in a big way. Crop insurance, Jill just went over it, so I'm not going to spend any more time there, but I can tell you that PRF has been an awesome deal for us in Arizona. DRP is also great. If you have an agent that's knowledgeable and can help walk through that process. Life insurance, we've always been a life insurance company, and this year actually life payments have been up a little bit. I wonder why. Succession planning, it really is something to consider when you start talking about estate planning and who's going to pay the taxes on the place when something happens to the primary breadwinner, or who's going to take care of the family, or what's going to take care of the family. It's a really big deal. I guess the point I'm trying to make is insurance is not as simple as buying coverage on a car or a house. It's a lot more complicated than that, and there's a lot more to it to try to figure out what the need is and address that need. We are the largest writer of ag insurance in Arizona, and we're number 2 in the nation, and this is across our 8-state footprint. So we know ag. Increased market share in homeowners and auto insurance in 2019. So we're not just selling those memberships on ag, we're also selling those memberships on auto and home, which helps the Farm Bureau and you as members do what we need to do to continue to support our agriculture in Arizona. Financial strength. Farm Bureau is an excellent rated company and has been since 1946. That is a long time running. And we're one of 8 organizations that were selected to the ward's top 50 performing companies for both PC and life. So one of 8 for both PC and life. This is a 22nd time for life and the 7th time for the PNC company. So Farm Bureau is well postured, very well set financially to be able to fulfill its obligations that are made when our agents go out and sell a policy or sell coverage. And that is super important for the long term. Life and investment sales. This is something that's kind of new for us. In September, we moved to a more convenient form of underwriting life insurance policies. A lot of people know about this. There is no medical for clients under 60 years old to be able to buy a life policy now. We added additional wealth management advisors and agents with advisor designations to be able to help out client members with their savings and investment goals, because everybody has a goal. It's something we don't think about, something people don't think about every day, but at some point, and it's that agent's responsibility to remind people of that point, that you need something to think about for the future. Where is this headed? What are your goals? And then we increased life applications and premiums for premiums in 2020. I wonder why. COVID has a way of making people think about things like that. More clients are asking about life insurance than in previous years. And sometimes it doesn't take a lot. There's all different types of price plans, different types of life insurance, different types of investments, and our agents are prepared to address those questions. A couple of other updates. Your Arizona agents remained the company leaders in agent production, even in a year like this, with new accounts, life applications, PC premium, and life production credit. And that's because they offer that value proposition to get serious and talk about what those needs are. It's not as simple as, has anything changed over the last year? Chances are something's changed. Someone's gotten older, someone may have a new grandbaby. Things change when you don't really realize it. Our NPS score, which is a net promoter score, the best in 8 states in Arizona and I'm not just, that's not tongue in cheek. That's important because that goes to the level of service that our agents and our company provide. One of the main factors in that is claim service. We lead the 8-state organization in our claim service for Arizona, and it's important that whenever something happens that's bad, that we're there to help take care of those obligations and work with that contract that agent sold that client member. So all this to say, we're here to provide the service that you need. My goal is to be the best that we can be in that area. Ben Bierk is our regional vice president. Ben was going to be on this call, but he had another mandatory obligation he had to attend to. But between he and myself and Jay Grosjean over the commercial department, our goal is to help our agents protect your livelihoods and futures. Open any questions you all might have.
Well, Bruce, we appreciate that. And, you know, I know that on the Federation side, we couldn't do what we do without our insurance partners and without the membership that you bring in and the risk protection that you offer to our members. And just as a Farm Bureau financial client myself, I've always appreciated the level of coverage and service that I get from my products too. So I'll add in another plug for both the auto and life and everything that Farm Bureau has to offer. We do have a couple of questions that came in, and both Jill and Bruce, you mentioned the dairy program in Arizona and the dairy margin protection. Do either of you have an idea of kind of how well that program is working? I know it's relatively new, that there were some changes made to the program in the last few years. Any insight into how that's working out for our guys?
Jill, I'm going to defer that question to you because I know you had training on that.
Yeah, I unmuted myself, sorry. So as far as dairy goes, it's doing pretty good. Actually, we've seen some growth in it with a lot of the dairymen, women being utilizing it. It's still not as utilized as I had hoped it would be. I do know in the Midwest, it's far more. And it's really helped save some dairies from going under. So when I first talked about this, I know the market was so low that a lot of the dairymen were telling me that, you know, it can't get any lower, we're going out of business. Well, some of them have survived that, and the revenue is actually going up some for them. So right now is a key time to get in so you can lock in those rates. It has been very beneficial to a lot, but there is still quite a few dairies in Arizona that are not yet participating. So,
got it. Well, Jill, you talked a lot too about, you know, you see products that are being underutilized in Arizona and you don't necessarily have a reason why that is. If our members have experiences with those products or those programs, how can they get a hold of you, or how can they kind of help you maybe understand a little more of that insight?
Well, you can always contact me through Farm Bureau, which or my cell phone. My cell number is 602-284-6856. With me all the time. You know, reach out and just have some conversations. They're welcome to look up some of those things on RMA's website if they want, rma.usda.gov. Kind of do a little of their own homework if they want. I have some other agents in other states that are very well experienced in some of them. So I've done some conference calls with some of the clients in my office, and we reach out to them to kind of answer some questions that I may not be able to answer for them. So I try to see how it could be beneficial to them. And then if there's questions that I don't have, I do have some resources available to help answer those questions.
All right. Well, awesome. We appreciate that. And then Bruce, I have one last question for you. I know that the AgWise program is something that Farm Bureau is really proud of, and having our AgWise certified agents. How has this year been for that program? Is COVID throwing a wrench in that, or are we still seeing a lot of success through that?
We do have AgWise agents in Arizona. In order to get that certification, they have to attend a certain amount of training in order to be AgWise certified. For 2020, we have ag marketing underwriters that support our AgWise agents, or even our agents that don't have that certification, to try to help grow ag business or maintain ag business and do super checks to make sure that we have the proper coverages for folks that need it. The AgWise program is going strong. It's something that did start here in Arizona. It rolled out here back in about 2013, and since then, since it started here in Arizona, it's been rolled out to the other 7 states, and it's continuing to be a focal point to make sure that our agents have the knowledge to be able to manage and work with our client members on the coverage that they need. There's no end game there, and you never know it all. So it's a constant process of knowledge and sharing, and our ag marketing underwriters, and we have 2 of them here in this state. A lot of you probably know Ryan and Michelle. They go out with the agent. They do inspections. They make sure the buildings are properly insured. They look for these coverages that have a tendency to ruin your life, not just your day. And they do a really nice job of that. And they put together a really nice packet that is shared with the prospect, the insured, or the potential client. And that is a wealth of information that they provide. So we have a joint effort. It's a joint effort in Arizona to be able to do what needs to be done for our agricultural partners.
Well, and I think that I know there are members across the state that feel that you are definitely doing what needs to be done and making managing risk in ways that are really effective for our members across the state. So we want to thank both Bruce and Jill for being on with us today. This is a great way to wrap up our Wednesday webinar series for the year. But don't fear, like I mentioned earlier on, this is going to be a continuing program for us here at the Arizona Farm Bureau. So we're going to continue to offer educational, leadership development, business development types of resources through monthly Wednesday webinars. Right now, it looks like they'll be held on the last week of the month every week. And if you have ideas or options or things you'd like to see us cover in these webinars, please reach out to your Farm Bureau team. I know myself, I'm absolutely willing to pass along that information. And then Elizabeth Rico, who will be taking over the program for the outreach department, would also love to hear any ideas that you have as a member for things you'd like to see on this Webinar Wednesday series. With that, we hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season, a safe rest of the year. And again, Bruce, Jill, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all later.
Happy holidays.